I will show you how to use enhanced scripts from Optmyzr to make expanded text ads when you only have legacy ads in your account. For this, go to our script, which is called Generate Text Ad Bulk Sheets. If you already have some settings, you'll just add a new one. What I'm doing here is I'm creating the first setting. So click on this button and now you have to answer a few questions about what you want to do. First, we'll give it a name so that we remember what the purpose of this version of the script is. And then we have to take one of these two methodologies. Now, the script was originally written to help you make enough A/B tests in each ad group, or to help you make new seasonal promotions, new ad text that would leverage your existing current best ad text. So it's actually that second methodology that we want to use to add the same number of new ads to all ad groups to make expanded text ads. We only need one expanded text ad to start, so we'll set this value to 1. And now we can decide how we're going to choose the legacy ad that we're going to convert. Obviously, we would like to take the best performing one as the basis for the expanded ad. And in Google's version of the script, you can only choose to do this based on the best CTR. With Optmyzr, you can choose from any of the metrics that make more sense to you. So we have some standard metrics here. We also have some calculated metrics. So you can choose the ad that has the best share of clicks in an ad group. So for that would literally mean if we had 100 clicks distributed between 5 ads in the ad group, give me the ad that had the most number of clicks amongst those. Or you can even do a custom calculation. And so I'm going to choose custom calculation because that's the most advanced scenario. And I want to show you how that works. But you could just as well choose any of the other metrics. Next, you have to tell us if the number that we're choosing here for the best thing needs to be the highest or the lowest. For the custom calculation here, we're going to choose highest. What is the date range we want to use for the metrics that we're going to analyze? And who needs to get an email notification, as well as who needs to have access to the spreadsheet that we will generate. So these are the basic settings. Let's take a look now at the advanced settings. So in the advanced settings, this whole first section about Google spreadsheet settings, you can mostly skip. You can play with that to change the name or the location of the spreadsheet, but it's really not that important. What's more important is this section here, bulk sheet settings. So are we generating a bulk sheet to be used with the bulk upload functionality or the AdWords editor? So let me choose AdWords editor. You can also choose to include data for all the current ads in the spreadsheet. So if you want to have more context when generating new ads, so you want to see all of your existing ads in the ad group, you can check this box to include that. If you want to see labels, you can choose these two next boxes. I recommend not choosing those unless you really need it because these do slow down the script significantly. If you only want to do expanded text ad generation for specific campaigns, these next two boxes help you limit which campaigns are included in the script. And if you wanted to only do this for ads with a certain label, you can also put that label in here. If you wanted to do this for campaigns or ad groups that are currently paused, you could uncheck these boxes. So it could be that maybe a campaign is paused because you've run out of budget, but you intend to bring the campaign back next month. And in that case, you probably still want to have expanded text ads generated for that one as well. Okay, and then the final section is, so if you've chosen to use a custom calculation to figure out which is your best ad, this is where you're going to have to put in that formula. So simply precede every metric by a question mark, and then choose from the metrics that were available on the drop-down on the previous page. So if you can't remember what those were, go back to the basic settings, look at that drop-down, and that will tell you the naming convention to use. So we're going to do CTR multiplied by conversion rate, which is basically conversions per impression. And then the final box, which is important too, says what is the minimum number of impressions an ad should have before we can consider it to be the best. Obviously, if I was using CTR as the determining factor and I had 1 impression and 1 click, that's 100% CTR, but that's not meaningful. So here I'm saying only look at ads that have at least 100 impressions so that I could trust the CTR to actually be meaningful. So once you've done this, go ahead and save the settings and then you can install it into AdWords. I'm not showing you how to do the installation of the script in AdWords, so we have different videos for that. There's also lots of documentation from Google. But once I've installed it and run it in AdWords, I can go to my logs in Optmyzr and I will find it's generated a bulk sheet as requested. So I can load a preview right here to make sure everything looks good. but more likely I'll want to open it in a new tab because now I need to manipulate this spreadsheet to turn my legacy ads into expanded text ads. So I can right click on that link and then it opens it up in a new tab. And now let's go and take a look at that spreadsheet. So what is all this data in the spreadsheet? Well, first of all, we have two columns that show you the date range we use to pull the data. Then there's an action column, and this tells either the bulk upload or AdWords editor whether we're creating a new ad, in which case it says add, or if we're just including it for reference, in which case it says set. So we're mostly going to pay attention to the lines that say add. Of course, which campaign and ad group the ad was in, what kind of ad it was. So text ad, that's the legacy ad format. Expanded text ad, that means I already had some expanded text ads running in these ad groups. And then we have all the ad details. So for the legacy ads, we'll have these few fields filled out. And if we have expanded text ads, then we'll have these new lines filled out. For each of the lines of ad text, we also have a character counter to help you stay within the limits that AdWords has. And then finally, we have a whole section on metrics that show you the current performance for these ads. And that also gives you a validation that we've selected the correct ad based on your criteria for what best means. And all the way at the end, we have some ad IDs and ad group IDs, and these are used for AdWords during the upload process to put the ads in the correct place. I've made a copy of the spreadsheet before I start manipulating it, so I can always go back to the original version if I need. So a few things. We don't need these first two columns, so let's go ahead and just delete these from the view. And I also care mostly about ads that I'm adding, so let me apply a filter across this whole spreadsheet, and I'm going to look only when the action is add. I'm going to hide all of the others. And then I only want to do this when we have a legacy ad. So let me get rid of the other ad formats. Okay, now I have a good starting point. So now here we have the headline, description line 1, and description line 2. Now it's up to me to figure out how to convert this into the expanded text ad format. Most of the time you'll just want to take the headline and turn that into headline 1. So here I'm just going to do a copy and paste. Now whether you combine description line 1 and 2 into the new description field, or whether you take description line 1 and try to put it into headline 2 is up to you. And if you've used description line 1 in the past to try and force longer ad headlines, you'll probably want to put it in headline 2. But then sometimes that doesn't fit. So notice here, this is a 32 character description line 1, which would be just a little bit too long for headline number 2. So what I'll do instead is I will leave headline 2 blank for now, and I will do a concatenation of the two lines of description to generate a new description. So there's a formula here for that, and I'll just say combine line 1, put a space in between them, and then add description line 2, and that's my formula. And now I can copy that formula all the way down to the last row, and I've got my new description line. So you see all of these will fit within the 80 characters. And now for headline 2, I have to put in some new text, otherwise Google will reject it. So I'll just say Optmyzr rocks, and I'll copy that all the way down. Okay, and now you can see all of this fits. You can optionally put in values for path 1 and path 2. We already have the final URL that came from the legacy ad. So now at this point, we're ready to go and upload this into AdWords. Unfortunately, if you just upload this into the AdWords editor, it's going to get confused because this now has values for legacy ad fields as well as expanded text ad fields. So we'll need to do one final step, which is to copy all of this into a new sheet. Now when we do the pasting here, let's do paste special, so we grab the values only. And this is going to be important because we're going to change some of these columns. So for example, we're going to get rid of all the legacy ad fields from headline all the way through to display URL. All of these will be deleted. If you delete these, if you had pasted this not as values, but including the formulas, the new ads would also be broken. So, but now I can delete this and I still have my description and my headlines intact. Okay, and now I can take all of these values all the way from campaign to final URL. You could copy and paste everything, but these are really the only fields you need. And I can take these into the AdWords editor. In AdWords editor, I've already loaded up my account and I'm looking at my existing expanded text ads. I could also look at text ads. Now the easiest way to import is to go into the account menu, and there's an import function here, and I could either import from a file if I had saved my spreadsheet, or I can more easily just do paste text. So now I'm saying Control V for paste, and then I can process all of these changes. And so here Google says we now have 15 new expanded text ads that will be created. We don't have any errors. So we can finish and review these changes, and then highlighted in green are the new expanded text ads. And of course, I can still make my final tweaks in here. So for example, I could change the headline 2 very easily across all of these, maybe put in some path values. And then once I'm happy with this, I can post these changes and they will be live in AdWords.